Hello, everyone. Welcome. I don't know what happened to my cool Dagger intro, but we got the big some Hollywood era.
We're the cool intro. That's us.
I guess, yeah, some Halloween spooky thing going on with the intros today. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us today. We have two awesome speakers. I'm very excited to show you the stuff that they are working on. Before we get started, I'm going to go through some super quick logistics. If this is your first community call, welcome. We're really, really excited to have you here. We chat on the Discord on our general channel. So if you aren't already in our Discord, you're welcome to join us there. And we'll put the link actually in the chat too for YouTube if you're on there. That's where we'll have chats separately. Also, we have the YouTube chat. So if you have any comments or questions during the demos, feel free to add it there and we'll be watching it the whole time. So we will get to your comments or your questions. And if you want to submit a topic and you'd love to be on the community call as well, feel free to reach out to me on Discord and I will happily get you on the schedule. Then we also have some events past the community calls. We have another community call next week, actually. So we're going to change things up for the series. Usually we do this every other week. That's still the case. But we're going to move the series up by 1 week. So that's going to mean we have another community call next week. And we're doing that just because we're going to be at KubeCon. And then there's a bunch of holidays coming up that we're overlapping the community calls. And we want to make sure we didn't miss getting all of you the content on those weeks. And then we have our friends in Gift City. They just released a meetup yesterday. And so that's going to be next week. So really excited to see that come up. And then we are all going to be at Cloud Native Rejects, App Developer Con, KubeCon North America. Those are all the same week. And so we're going to be there, Salt Lake City. So if you're going to be there, please let us know in the comments or on Discord. We'd love to meet up with you. And then we'll also have some of our team at AWS reInvent. So again, if that's one you're going to be at, we love to meet all of our Daggernauts in person. So let us know so we can go meet up. And now to the fun part. Let me stop sharing my screen. So who do we, I need to change up the, oh, wrong thing. Let's see. We have all of us. There we go. Who do we have on
office?
Who do we have in the call today? Maybe Kyle, let's start with you.
Sure. Hey, I'm Kyle on the ecosystem team at Dagger. And if you've seen the movie Dodgeball, I'm also on the Purple Cobras.
Love it. Love it. And Lev, what about you?
Hey everybody, I'm Lev. I'm a solutions engineer at Dagger. Today I'm going to show you all harness pipelines with Dagger. And also, Kyle, what are you going to show today?
Yeah, so we're going to check out some new stuff on the Daggerverse and also Daggerized Go Releaser.
Amazing. I'm not fun, so I don't have a costume.
Well, you're also
my excuse is I spent all my energy this morning getting the kids in their costume.
There we go. Awesome. And I don't know if anyone saw on our general Discord or on where else did I put it? Oh, on LinkedIn, that if you are watching and you are wearing a costume while watching this, please, like take a picture like this or something and send it my way. And I'll definitely send you some awesome Dagger swag. So get it to me on LinkedIn, Discord, wherever. Okay, let's go to, I know we just talked about quickly. I'm sorry, I don't know why I'm so big on the screen. Fix that. Okay. So I know, Kyle, you mentioned, so you're going to be talking a little bit about what we did for Go Releaser. And then we're going to be talking also about getting started with Dagger and Harness. And so for those of you who are either using Harness already or, that's one of the tools you have and trying to figure out how to integrate Dagger, it's going to be awesome. But we're going to kick off with Kyle talking about some improvements for the Daggerverse and some of the Dagger modules. So Kyle, let me have you share your screen. There we go. Perfect. And I'm going to make this bigger. I think. There we go. Okay.
Cool. It looks like we're in the middle, which is okay, I guess.
Let's see. Okay. I'm going to move us. There we go. Make us a little smaller. The joys of screen sharing.
Do it live.
Yeah. Okay, go for it.
Awesome. So if you've been on the Daggerverse in the last maybe week, you might have noticed some changes. So Jeremy, along with the Dagger commanders, came up with a list of our first set of featured modules. So the problem we're trying to solve here is that you come to the Daggerverse and you see all this cool stuff, but you're not really sure like where to start or what what's the quality module to start with. We've done things in the past like trying to sort them in specific ways, but it's still not clear, especially if you're looking at search results, like what is a good module to pick up and use in your pipelines. So we have at the top of Daggerverse now these featured modules, and they're just like handpicked modules. So if you think one of them shouldn't be there, if you have some more to add, please like hit us up in the Discord and we can figure out how to get those in there. But these are a bunch of really quality modules that you can look at and pull into your projects. The other cool thing is that if you search for something like Docker, you'll see maybe that was a bad example. Okay, so you'll see like in the search results, you can see which ones are featured and maybe if that's relevant to what you're looking for, that will help as well. The other cool thing is also with the search results, the sorting now also factors in a bunch more things that we didn't factor in before. So now, for example, if you search for this, you'll see the forks of this module come up after the actual module itself, and we'll figure out more handling with forks later on, but this is kind of step one of that improvement. Another cool change we've had, we saw in what people were searching in Daggerverse, there's a lot of stuff that is a core part of what Dagger can do. For example, a lot of people were searching for Git, and maybe they're looking for things outside of the core API. But if you are new to Dagger and you search for Git, there's this new thing that'll pop at the top, and it's super naive, but it just says, oh, it looks like this is something that's mentioned in the cookbook a lot, so maybe you want to look there, and you can see like what you can do with Dagger and Git, for example. If you're trying to pull in a Git repo as a directory or something, all that's in the cookbook, and you might not need a module. But if you do, there's tons of cool ones here too that are featured and partner modules and all the things. So lots of cool stuff in the Daggerverse, more stuff in the works. If you have suggestions, please reach out, and that's the update for Daggerverse.
Is your module always going to be first?
Yeah, well, I mean, I made the feature, so obviously mine has to be the first all the time.
And then we have to have a Solomon module at all times now.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so and then Kyle, on that point, actually, you mentioned that right now these are currently manually curated, right? So if someone thinks that one of their modules should be on there, then the best way to reach out would just kind of be our general channel on Discord.
Yeah, exactly. Just let us know in Discord. Say, hey, this module is really helpful for me. It should maybe be featured, and then we can make that happen.
Awesome. Sweet. Very, very cool. Yeah, and I'd love to know if people, in the chat, if there's ones that you're seeing right now already that you feel like are missing, or ones on this list that you're like, hey, I use it all the time. Great to see it there. I love to see that in the comments in either Discord or YouTube. Sweet. And then Kyle, I think you had also another demo for us.
Yeah, if we're ready to jump right in.
A Docker module, sorry to interrupt, but a Docker module is probably the answer because it's the second time you demo that one and you're like, oh no, not that one.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I'm sure we need to feature one of those because I know there's several, like if I search, there's like a whole page of doing things with Docker. So we should find one of these and we can all work on that one together.
Nice.
Cool. Sorry, you were starting your second demo.
Oh yeah. So second demo, Go Releaser. If you're not familiar, it's a project for building and releasing Go projects, basically. It's something that we use at Dagger, and we're big fans of it. And so recently, I took on the task of like Daggerizing a bunch of tasks that you might use for contributing to Go Releaser. And for Dagger historians out there, you might remember over a year ago, Gerhard and I at Equinix Demo Days 2023 demoed a bunch of stuff with Equinix and Dagger, but also showing some Daggerized Go Releaser pipelines. And so in this YouTube video, you can see what that pipeline looked like before. This is ancient Dagger code. And at that time, the result out of that was just not the best DX compared to using like a makefile or something else to work with contributing to Go Releaser. And so now we've got a ton of new stuff in Dagger CX, and so I took a go at it again, and it's really, really great this time, and it's merged into the Go Releaser project. So if you look at this screenshot from YouTube real quick, if you can see it at all, there's a few things in this like build pipeline, like a hard-coded default tag and a place to pull the Git repo from, and then this really long pipeline of running these things. So now if we hop to the new pipeline, doesn't that look so much better? So this is like producing the same thing. It's producing a build of Go Releaser. We're able to default the OS to build with these optional arguments we have now, as well as the architecture. You'll notice we're not even passing in or looking up a Git repo at any point because we have context directories now, so that can just happen because this is in the Go Releaser project. I've separated out like the build environment, and we have just the go build command in this function now. And to step into a bit more of this code, so maybe you can have some inspiration on how you can Daggerize your own things. All the different pipelines come back to this base container, which is a Wolfie container, and we add Go to it. Right now, it's just like whatever the latest version of Go in the Wolfie repos is. And then we add a bunch of caches specific to Go. These are a bit more verbose because one of the important parts of the test pipelines is that they're run as like a non-root user. So we have to make sure all the resources for that pipeline are accessible by that non-root user and so on. And then the build environment literally just takes that base and adds the source to it. If we go to that one, we take basically that context directory, add it a specific path with the non-root user as the owner, and set that as the working directory. Where it gets really cool is like one of the complicated things about the pipeline the first go around was all the different dependencies needed for running the whole test suite for Go Releaser, which is actually one of the reasons I wanted to Daggerize in the first place, is because it integrates with so many different tools. If we open up, you probably can't even see the left sidebar because you can't zoom that in yet in Zed. But if you look at, okay, well now I can't remember where it is. Pipe, there it is. So this directory of all these tiny things you probably can't see, these are like all the different things that Go Releaser actually integrates with. And so when you run the test suite for Go Releaser, you want to make sure that all these integrations still work. And so that means you have dependencies on crazy amounts of things because you might need, I don't know, well, let's look at what we need, right? So the test environment, we're going to start with that base that we looked at before with Wolfie and Go and our cache volumes. And we add a bunch of these packages, which is just kind of basic stuff. I guess the first ones are pretty basic for probably most build environments, but then we also add like UPX, cosine, Docker, and Sift. These are all things that we need to integrate with in the test suite. And then we get even more complicated because we need a bunch of these Nix packages. And this one was interesting because these packages aren't actually available in the Wolfie package repositories. And so to solve that, what I did was basically just take this Nix container, which I've defined above, and said, okay, in that container, we have all of these binaries that we need in our builder container. And so we just list out the binaries that we need and then go through that Nix container and just move them over to our builder container. And so that was a cool pattern. Basically, like our OS's package management failed, so we just fell back to using the container ecosystem, right? And so now we've got also like BuildX set up, which was another complicated one where I had to like grab the binary from a GitHub release and then put it at this specific path with these permissions. And again, just using core Dagger API, it was super simple because I could just do the dag.http for that GitHub release and then drop that in my container. And so now with all that stuff, we've got all the dependencies we need to run the test. We've mounted a Docker engine because we also need in the test suite to actually build and run containers within the code. So not even within our Dagger pipeline, but actually the tests are running containers. For example, running like a Docker registry so we can test pushing images to a registry. And we mount that at localhost, which looks super scary, but it's the only service binding we have. And it just works. So we just kind of hand wave over that for now. And then when we run the tests, which is up here, we've got all these arguments. Now, no matter where I'm running this thing, if I'm contributing to Go Releaser for the first time or running this in GitHub, we always have the exact same dependencies set up. And also we're running the exact same test commands. So there's no difference in environment between GitHub Actions on my machine, or if I'm the core maintainer of Go Releaser or a brand new contributor, we have the exact same test environment. So this is like all built into Dagger. So this is like the beauty of Daggerizing this.
Is that Docker using a module, or did you have a command or a function called Docker?
I think, let's find out. Good question. So we go.
By the way, I'm playing with your module and my terminal at the same time.
Oh, perfect.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, I'll show in a second too. So it is using a module, and maybe this is. Are you suggesting this should be the feature one?
Maybe, yeah. I mean, if it's good enough to be in this project.
Yeah,
Of
so
course
it's
it's
actually
Solomon's, yeah.
Solomon's.
Makes
Yeah,
sense.
so of course it's good enough to be the project. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
and
this is.
I don't think that does it even work.
It does, yeah. I mean, at least at this release, it does.
Okay.
And what else? Oh yeah. So the other pattern that we kind of used here was in the existing test workflow in CI, we always produce a test coverage report. So you can see in this test command, we run with cover mode atomic and produce this coverage.txt. And so with this test function, we're actually returning a custom object of type test result. And a test result is basically just a container. But the cool thing about that is that means we can also put functions on that object, like coverage report. So now if I run Dagger call test coverage report, I'll get this file every time. If I run Dagger call test output, we'll just get the standard out. And so that's maybe the first steps towards something of like a more mature test pattern that we can work towards together. So if we go over to a terminal real quick, I've run Dagger functions, and I can see all these functions that I have available, like test and build and so on. So if I say Dagger call test, and by the way, I don't know the timestamp of in the video where we actually run this, but before it would have been something like Dagger call go run main.go source something or other. I'm not sure, but now we can just say Dagger call test because we have context directories and all these defaults and lots of cool DX stuff happening.
Much easier.
And that'll run. Yeah, and so now you can see like it's pulling in all those things from Nix. And I think I just updated to the latest Dagger release right before this, so it's not going to be fully cached, but I guess we still add some stuff. Or maybe I didn't upgrade. That's okay. So yeah, so there's my test output, and like I said, if I say help on this, it should tell us we can ask for the coverage report. So I can say Dagger call test coverage report, and I can output that here. And then, so my tests, all that stuff should be mostly, maybe fully cached. So just should just take a second, but then now I'm asking for a different output from the same DAG, right? So now it'll give me the file in a second here.
Is this on main from Go Releaser?
It is, yeah. So I'm not even on my fork right now. I just checked out main like a few minutes ago.
Nice.
Can you do split screen on two windows, Miranda, or no?
Yeah, I probably can. It might be a little smaller, but we can try it out. You want to share?
I can show it after. It's really cool. As Kyle is showing his module, I'm trying it out.
Nice.
Directly from the source, like a pack. I'm using Dagger as sort of a weird package manager.
Nice.
Yeah.
And it's just really fun, and anyone watching can do it. You know, you don't even need to check out source code or anything. It's pretty neat.
So the cool thing, I'll show something like that once this finishes. It's taking longer than I thought it would be for some reason.
And Kyle, while it's actually, can you make this turn a little bit larger, just so
yeah, of course.
And then while it's loading too, one of the questions, oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Oh, no, I was just going to ask in terms of, let's say someone sees an open source project, or they love working with one, and they're like, hey, I'd love to Daggerize this too. I know, like you're not a main contributor for Go Releaser normally, and so what advice would you give to people who might want to Daggerize one of their favorite open source projects too?
So I think, I can't remember if we have, let's see. So let's go to docs. Oh boy, the computer's struggling. It must be really working on these sets right now. So if you go to adopting Dagger, there's this really cool step-by-step flow that you can kind of think about your project in different ways, where Dagger might be able to get you a lot of value really quickly. And then it'll take you through kind of getting that in, and then also starting from that quick win and then getting to like full Dagger value in, taking all the experiences that we've had from Daggerizing different projects and helping pass that on to you. So docs.dagger.io/adopting, but just here on the left side, this is where I would go for sure.
But can I also add something there? I think that
Please.
One of the things that I really like lately is whenever I'm approaching a new project, especially one that has like maybe a strange tool chain, or one that I'm not familiar with, or one that I don't have installed, rather than trying to install a bunch of additional dependencies on my local machine, I've actually found Dagger to be a really great a way to just get that project up and running. So this happened to me a couple of weeks ago. For some unholy reason, I was exploring like the GTK library, and the README of the project was like, hey, make sure you have all the right headers installed. But it didn't tell me like anything about which ones I needed. So I'm basically in this position where I'm either just going to install everything from these random C libraries, or I'm just going to move on with my life. But I chose the third path, which is just use Dagger, and I wrote a function that basically allows me to grab like check out that project. Painstakingly, I discovered which libraries I actually needed, and now I have a single command that basically gives me a development version of that specific C library on my machine without having to install a single dependency, a single header file, anything like that. It's just a one-shot like getting started with the specific library. And I think that like my dream is that basically every project has something like that, where instead of saying, here's like the 12-step guide for how to install this project locally, there's a single command that you run, maybe powered by Dagger, maybe not, but the Dagger is a great choice for this, that spits out the dev version of that project. And I'm like on my own little mission to make that happen for obscure GNOME libraries, but I encourage other people to do the same for things they care about.
Yeah, that's a really great point. So that's something I added with this particular pipeline, is that if you wanted to use Dagger to run an arbitrary version of Go Releaser or include it in your pipelines, you actually use this module as well. So it's the module for the CI of Go Releaser, but also the module for using Go Releaser in a pipeline. So you can just say Dagger call run, and that's going to actually build Go Releaser at whatever version you've specified, and then run the commands against it.
Yeah, for sure. I think also it's on the same theme. The other part where I think is really ripe for Dagger is getting the doc site to load. It's one of the main reasons why I built that Docusaurus module. But there's 100 other docs generators that don't currently have modules. But being able to run a project's documentation locally is a really great way to contribute to a project. But it's sometimes very hard to actually get the docs up and running. So those are, in my opinion, like really great candidates for valuable additions to any project with Dagger. If they're using Docusaurus, great. And if not, like that's an opportunity to make a module for a different doc system as well.
Yeah, totally.
My takeaway from all this is Dagger is going to be based on GTK. Is that right?
Maybe.
Hopefully. Yeah,
Is that
stay tuned for a
your
future
secret
demo.
project you're working on?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
So 2 more quick things on this. One, I think when we were talking about the test report patterns, Navuna said we should document the best practices. I think for now, this is referenced in the cookbook, like the exact pattern I used. I think I copy pasted out of the cookbook somewhere, but I think for something like that, it's something we could have like a core set of interfaces, and that will kind of standardize across lots of modules.
Maybe like featured cookbook recipes.
Featured recipes, I like it.
Featured recipes with the featured modules.
It's gonna be the joy of Dagger.
Exactly. And then the other cool thing I just wanted to show for contributing and like the value of Dagger is that if I'm looking at this PR and regardless of like what's happening at CI, I can say dagger-m github.com/go-releaser. Now the dog's barking because Amazon's here. Go-releaser at, and what is this? Pull 5226 head. So now I can call the test on whatever arbitrary PR using context directory, of course. So this is running, whatever the module is in tree here. So this probably doesn't change Dagger things, which doesn't matter. Like the module that's in this tree, so relevant to this version of this contribution, is being run, and now it's going to, once it gets through these things, it's going to start running the tests on this PR. So if GitHub Actions was down, we don't care because we can still run our tests and review PRs and do all these things. And that's it. We don't have to wait for it to finish or anything, but just wanted to show that's like a cool advantage of Daggerizing your test pipelines.
I have a question. Can I ask it now?
Yes, please.
Go Releaser is a really interesting example because it's both an actual project that you've Daggerized, that you're using Dagger to develop Go Releaser, but also Go Releaser is a tool that can be used in Dagger pipelines for other projects, right? And since Daggerizing a project or packaging it as a reusable tool for another project both involve creating a Dagger module, you've kind of enabled both, right, with this module?
Yeah, exactly.
Is this transition smooth?
If you wanted to see that. Yeah, so if you wanted to say...
so it's the same module to both develop Go Releaser and develop with Go Releaser via Dagger.
Yes.
I'm curious about the experience doing that. Like, does it work well? Are there clashes, in the function names, things like that? Like when you call test, what are you testing? Things like that.
Oh yeah, so I mean they would all be scoped to that module. So again, let's look at it real quick. So I can say Dagger install.
So you're no longer in the Go Releaser.
Yeah, so I'm in a brand new module.
Okay.
GitHub. Now we
That's
install
cool.
the module.
Dagger as a universal package manager.
Exactly.
I was gonna say it seems like we have to change all of our messaging.
Well, yeah, package management is a feature in my opinion.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, it just means you get like
It's all the things.
Yeah, if you Daggerize a project like Go Releaser, it helps contribute to it, but also helps everyone that uses it if they're also using Dagger, right? So if I go in here now and we can say...
That's the network effect of Dagger in a nutshell.
Yeah, exactly. So if here we wanted to do some Go Releaser stuff, I can say .go releaser, and we can say .run, and now we're actually running the Go Releaser binary. We can pass in a directory that's running on, and then some arguments for the Go Releaser binary.
The part that kind of blows my mind is by controlling the version of the Dagger module that you're installing, you're also controlling the version of the Go Releaser binary you're going to run, right?
Exactly. So this, I didn't specify a tag, so I just installed main, but I can say, what are the recent versions? I could say when I did my install v2.3.2, and now the version of Go Releaser in my pipeline is that version, as well as the module version. But in this case, I don't care as much about that, but I can say, this. And also, if I wanted to override this, so for some reason I need to use this version of the module, I can actually pass in a different context directory for Go Releaser itself and say, actually use in this pipeline, I want to use latest, and we can pass that in for the constructor for Go Releaser. And then when we run the Go Releaser binary with our directory and arguments, it's whatever version we've passed in. So
you can pass that as an argument? Basically. Are you sure that works?
Yeah, because the context directory is an optional argument, right? So if we go back to
oh, right. Okay. Like you specified one in your constructor.
Yeah, because
like the source.
Since the constructor is the default path, I can actually override that source when I construct Go Releaser and say, actually give me head or give me v2.3.1. And I can do that in the pipeline I'm calling from, regardless of what version of the module I have, right?
Oh, yeah.
So I could say...
So yeah. I guess that's useful, especially if you want to run an older version of Go Releaser that hasn't been Daggerized, right? In like at the past Git history. I was curious.
Yeah, exactly. So if I say source is, or I guess we have to pass in a directory here, so we don't get like the nice gitness. But I could say dag.git, github.com,
like your fork or something.
Yeah, I could use a fork.
That opens a lot of interesting questions. It's like there's two different layers of. You could use Dagger modules as a package management system if it's helpful, or you can just do your own dynamically if you prefer. It's kind of it's your DAG.
DAG it your way.
You're really doing this.
Yeah, exactly. So this should roughly work. But then, then in here, I could say I have my project.
My DAG,
that I
my
wanted
choice,
to run
but it's election week. We're allowed to make political jokes.
Yeah, actually, there's a comment in YouTube around asking if we can have something kind of similar for this, of kind of a one command package set for our docs. So, but I love our community calls. The actions we get from the community calls.
I just saw a question from Nuno pop in. I think it's I just saw a question from Nuno pop in around like, oh, could we just have a preview environment of the docs? Exactly. Like that's what we're doing. I think somebody's doing it already internally, but that's what I've been doing.
That's how I do it. Yeah.
Yeah. So like in the PR, there'll be a link potentially, but like you could like, yeah, you can just like run this command to see the docs in the current state. It's really, really nice. It's a really, really great pattern.
It's a pattern that's been, we have it inside Dagger, but you can also, for your own project, you can use that featured docu-source module, for example. It's a really nice way to go. And I want to tag on just one thing. I want to bust it. I actually busted in here just to say, I'm so excited to say this, that there was some talk a little earlier about Solomon and your Docker module and the status of it. I will say we have another list of not yet featured modules, but like almost featured modules. So these are ones that are like on deck, and I may be reaching out to one of you very
at random.
No. Yeah, at random. No, I actually have a list. So like, and it could be like something really small. So we're trying to be very picky. And we're trying to make in our automated kind of scoring system of Daggerverse, we're trying to make that just better and better. So eventually, vision, the featured modules should almost just float themselves to the top. But until that glorious day, we are still handpicking, and we are being picky about things like freshness, all the documentation filled out, whether it's tagged as an actual release version and such. And so I might be reaching out to the folks over at InPhysical who have a really amazing secrets management module, but just needs a tag. I might be reaching out to some other folks about a particular Wolfie module. The puzzle folks have an amazing Git Actions module that's like almost there. The replicated HQ folks and their 1Password module, I would check that out. Excoriate's Terraform module also is looking really nice. There's also one called S-Hikes Docker.
Oh, are you sure you want to use mine? I think we should go over the different Docker modules because
yeah, no, it's
the top scored one.
Anyway, I just wanted to say that I might be reaching out with either a PR in some cases or a request, and we'll have more docs about how to make your module the best ever soon. You'll see that coming soon.
Nice. I feel like this announcement is the feature. It's like once a week we're just gonna go live and speak out a list of modules.
I think so.
You just got to be there. It's a drop. It's a module drop.
Yes.
Yeah.
Also, can I just say, Jeremy, I just saw your messages on the side. Like, tell them about the soon featured modules. You're like, they're not answering. I'm going in.
That's it. Just started hacking my way in. Yeah.
Love it. And Kyle, for the Go Releaser portion, it left, so going to the project, I guess, is best to kind of check out what you did here and kind of see the examples, the code examples.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, if you go to the Go Releaser project, there's a Dagger directory with that module in it.
Nice.
And so also if you're contributing to Go Releaser, then it's mentioned in here as well of how you can run those things.
Nice. And if anyone watching, if you have open source projects that you're like, this would be amazing and super helpful on that project that you use all the time, or you own an open source project and you'd like help adding this, please let us know in the comments or on Discord. We're always happy to help and do that. So I know, Kyle helped with this one, and that's exactly what we're here to do. And we also have a whole community. We also have our amazing commanders that can give tons of great feedback too. So you're not alone if you want to get this set up.
That would be so fun to do that live, on the show, like the CI doctors.
Yeah, that would be awesome. Yeah, so if anyone wants to do that with us, let me know. Happy to add you.
Yeah, please, that'd be awesome.
Nipuna just asked why it's not. He saw something really spooky because the Dagger folder is not .dagger.
So I think when we started this,
your dag, my dag, my choice.
I think when we started this, we were still on the fence about that, and also when I started this particular PR, we actually didn't have context directories yet. So there's actually some code in here that I probably need to fix. Like this whole block could be deleted because originally, if you didn't pass source, it would pull from. Yeah, but now you don't need that. So anyway,
nice.
The dangers of being an early adopter.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, it all works though. We didn't break any of it, so that's good.
Yeah, this is just a non-functioning piece or it's a piece of code that's never going to get hit because source is defaulted here. But
let's
before it wasn't. Yeah,
so I guess we're the CI doctors right now. We're helping the CI doctor fix his own.
I appreciate all the eyes on this. Thank you, everyone.
It's monthly maintenance.
Do you appreciate all the eyes on it? I was holding back another question since we're in the topic of reviewing your code. All the APK execs, I was wondering if you could use a module, to make it more like the APKO module that Alex made that we're using for Wolfie and Alpine. That just downloads all the packages and merges them without all the execs. It might make your module a little more cacheable. Yeah, that one.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I think this is
you accept pull
a pretty
requests.
Slow change. Yeah, submit a contribution. That's great.
I will. It's actually on Go Releaser.
It is. Yeah.
Oh, sweet! I'll be a Go Releaser contributor.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, once you have that, someone put it in the channel so people can kind of follow up with it. And for anything else, Kyle, on this one specifically, because I want to make sure we have time for
Sorry, Alex says.
Yeah. Let's check out Harness.
Nice.
Alex, the credit chain. Just want to complete the credit chain. Credit Alex, and Alex wants to credit Eric for the cool work on APKO. So I made the fancy one. Eric's going to say no, but I took inspiration from.
We're a team that loves to give credit to each other, which is awesome. Okay, Lev, do you want to maybe share your screen, and then we can, and then Kyle, if you don't mind following up on the general channels, I'll put it in the YouTube chats of the best place to look at all the code.
Yeah, sounds great.
Sweet.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm ready. I'm ready to rock.
Add you. There we go.
Snippet
we go.
box.
We're ready. Yeah. So hey everybody. So today we're gonna look at harness, and I want to show you something really, truly scary, which is this project called Snippet Box. And the reason why it's scary is because I'm on a mission to include every known CI provider into this one project. So right now I have GitLab, Azure Pipelines, Circle CI, GitHub Actions, and as of right now, oh sorry, Jenkins, of course. Who can forget? And also, this is like Source Hut CI. And now,
Bold
by
choice
popular,
of file name.
yeah, exactly. This is very like, yeah. Obviously, it's a .build.yaml in the root of your repo. But by popular demand, we now have Harness. Now, for those of you that don't know, Harness CI is actually Drone CI. So they bought Drone about 4 years ago now, and they've continued to invest in it and build on it. And like they're like the Drone GitHub repo is very, very active. So the actual I think these days I think it's really rare to have folks running Drone that's not Harness Drone, but it's possible that exists. But ultimately, like the Harness CI product is Drone. So all that is to say, everything we're going to see today works for both Harness CI and Drone CI. It's the same exact thing. And I think it's really designed for like very large organizations, very complex requirements. So it's not like, in my opinion, the most like easy thing to set up and run. So I did run into a little bit of trouble getting started, but that's actually why I like this project a lot, is because my goal is to basically have like the same exact pipeline represented in every single CI, so that at least I know like the general shape of how things should look, and hopefully that serves as inspiration for other folks too. So this is open source. It's on GitHub, /snippetbox. So feel free to poke around in there anytime. And you'll see eventually that every single CI provider known to us will be here eventually. So the way that the harness has this concept of pipelines and also input sets. And input sets are this configuration that's required, and it like basically defines like the inputs into a specific pipeline. The easiest way to get started with Harness, in my opinion, is you just use their wizard. So if you go into Harness and go to pipelines and go to get started and click on run Harness pipelines in the cloud, get started. It'll like, because I have GitHub OAuth, it'll like aggressively just add random files to my repo, and it'll all just work. So that's what I recommend doing as a starting point. And that's what I did here in my project as well. So this is all basically auto-generated. And then I have two pipelines that I want to show you. The first one is snippet box single. So this is basically the two kind of patterns that exist right now for running Dagger. Is either Dagger is a single call that you make as a part of your CI pipeline, and then Dagger takes over all the execution of lint, build, test, publish, or each one of those steps is its own Dagger function. So Snippet Box has a really nice Dagger pipeline built into it. So if you run Dagger functions, you'll see all the lovely things that it can do, which includes those things that we just discussed. So build, debug, lint. There's an old CI, I'm not sure what that is. Publish. You can actually run the Snippet Box service as a whole. So the idea here is that this pipeline can do both this, run the whole pipeline or run individual steps. And the whole pipeline is simply a Go function or Dagger function inside of the .dagger folder that programmatically calls lint, test, and publish. So it's the same idea through code or not. So anyways, going back to Harness, so in my Snippet Box single example, there's some boilerplate that exists for setting up a Harness project. And then I have a couple of, I have Dagger Cloud hooked up. So there's an environment variable that I've set using Harness secrets. I've also set CI to true, which is something I have to do to get our Dagger Cloud to work properly. And then basically, this should be very familiar with folks that are using Dagger in CI, because normally you install the Dagger, the Dagger engine, and then you run your Dagger pipeline. So here, that's what I'm doing. I'm installing Dagger engine. I'm calling Dagger call CI. So in this case, it is a single command, and it runs my entire pipeline. Afterwards, I stop the engine. This is necessary to sync the cache if you're using that part of Dagger Cloud. And then recently, I actually saw somebody doing this. They're basically storing all of their engine logs as artifacts, which is brilliant. I was really inspired by this. And I'm like, it's a really good idea. So we should do it too. Unfortunately, and ideally, you like zip this up and ship it off, and store it as an artifact. Unfortunately, for me, Harness doesn't necessarily support storing arbitrary files as artifacts, unlike some other CI providers. So you have to hook up like S3 or something like that, which makes a lot of sense, like for them, right? Because they don't want to just store random files indefinitely and run up that bill. But it just complicates things a little bit. So for the purpose of this demo, I just printed the logs to standard out because that's still helpful if I ever need to inspect and understand anything that was going on. But I really like this as a standard step of a pipeline, is like save the Dagger engine logs, because there's a lot of useful things in there. When in the case where things might go wrong, very often you'll come to our Discord, you'll ask a question, and the very first thing that somebody will say is, where's your Dagger trace and where are your engine logs? So this solves both of those problems. So going back into Harness, the way this looks is I have this pipeline called build sandbox in one shot. And what this does is we can just look at a recent run. The way this looks in Harness is Harness has this kind of fancy like visualization tool. And in my case, I have a very simple pipeline that's pipeline in Harness's terms of just build. Like all it does is build. There's no, I'm not using any of their like Artifactory plugins or any of the other like fancy like release gates or anything like that. Like you could definitely do all that stuff in this demo. It's very simple. It's just doing the CI portion. And then that individual CI portion gets broken up automatically based on my Harness config file into these specific like steps that are visualized. And I'm assuming that in case things are getting like fanned out or fanned in or whatever, that will probably be reflected in here. But you'll see that all these steps correspond to all the things that we just saw in my YAML file. So you'll see that I install Dagger, I run the pipeline, it pulls down the engine, it starts running stuff. This is using the plain output. I think it's the default behavior in Harness. And then ultimately it finishes the build and returns my standard out. And because I have Dagger Cloud hooked up, when I go in, if I click onto this link to Dagger Cloud from the Harness output, it'll take me to, oops, I'm trying to be a little bit sneaky here, but it'll take me to, very soon we'll actually have this shipped to Dagger Cloud itself. But like if it detects that you're running in Harness, we do have this like nice little Harness logo now, and it'll show you like, oh, here's your Harness pipeline. So when you click onto it, this is my CI pipeline. It'll show me all of this stuff. This is standard kind of Dagger Cloud visualization, but this is using that kind of single job to rule them all pattern. The other thing is that I wanted to share was, of course, the engine log. So here you can just kind of see the engine logs. You can download this file too, if needed. I think you can see it like a plain text version of it. It's kind of more easy to look at here. So there's some nice stuff within Harness itself that help you understand and debug stuff. Now, the best part about all of this is everything just kind of works. I don't need to do anything special with any Docker config or any special like runner types. Like out of the box, things just work, which I think is really, really nice. So if you are using Harness, you can just install Dagger and be off to the races. I'm gonna show one more thing, but before I do that, I was wondering if anybody on my in the call had any thoughts or questions about what we've seen so far.
So I've been trying to find proof that I came up with that Docker logs thing.
Oh yeah.
When I find that.
I will happily give you credit for that. Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you.
It is brilliant. Okay.
Wait, I copied it. I copied it in my GitHub Actions config generator also. So
oh, nice.
You're everywhere, Kyle.
Amazing.
And also, it made me think maybe we should generate more than GitHub Actions configs. Maybe we should take this module to the next level.
Yeah, I'm ready for it. for sure, because especially because it is pretty tricky to get started with Harness. Like it's not, especially if you try to like upload some files, like there's just a lot, like there's a lot of bits that need to fit together properly for you to actually get everything to work. And I definitely found it to be slightly more complicated than other providers, but I think there's a reason for it. I don't think it's just because. I think that the intended audience for this has special requirements, you know what I mean, that just kind of necessitates some of these complications.
I think Harness was a pioneer too. Not Harness, I mean Drone, now named Harness CI. They were the very first CI system built for Docker.
Yep.
Like super early. The guy saw Docker. He's like, I'm gonna run this continuously, and
nice.
So I guess you can also probably there's some baggage from being so early, I'm guessing.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, so the last thing I wanted to show was just the other version of this. So this is my snippet box pipeline that's not calling the CI command. It's just calling individual Dagger functions. So nothing groundbreaking here, but I just wanted to show the two patterns because this is a very common question that we get, which is like, where do I start? If I have a very complicated pipeline, the point of this pattern is to show you that you don't have to migrate every single thing over to Dagger right away. You could choose one of the steps. So imagine I chose just the lint step and I've Daggerized that. Everything else might be doing the same thing that's always been doing. And then slowly you can kind of take over the entire pipeline, or stop when you're satisfied with the results. So this is just showing how each individual step can just be a Dagger function as well. So here I have lint, I have test, I have publish, and then the same thing, stop engine, print, and can capture the logs. And then back in Harness, the way this looks is very similar, right? It's just there's just more boxes now in this UI that correspond to the lint, test, and publish steps. And then on Dagger Cloud side, the way this looks is inside of a specific commit, you'll see the different steps for those things. Like those become individual traces now. So like this is one trace that does everything, and these are the individual traces that do that one specific job. And of course, there's a link to all those directly from the Harness output on the corresponding steps. So yeah, this is all functional and working. The snippet box repo is public, so feel free to use that for inspiration. Very soon we will have like a Harness detection baked into Dagger Cloud, so it'll just work out of the box. And I'm also going to work on writing up a nice just doc in our in Dagger docs for the Harness integration, just so we have a record and it's easily findable by people.
Sweet.
I love it.
Thanks, very cool.
This makes me dream of wouldn't it be cool if you could go to Dagger Cloud and you kind of it helps you set up your favorite CI to run your favorite Dagger pipeline, sort of using the generator idea, but
yeah,
it kind of feels like you could click around and get to it. Okay, this is my Dagger module. I want you to run it in Harness, or oh wait, I want you to run it in Circle CI, and we just click, and opens the pull request for you.
I love it.
That would be nice.
Yeah, it's exactly what Harness does, except it's funny to me because they don't even open a PR; they just commit it to main. So you just like magically get these files in your repo, which I think is like it's delightfully aggressive, and I love it.
Very cool, love. And the repo, I assume, is probably the best place to go check it out. Okay, cool. We put that up there. We put the link in the Discord, and we also have it on, if you're on the YouTube right now, the chat, it should be in the chat there as well. But sweet. Thanks for sharing that, love. And also shout out to our team for adding that logo last minute. It looks really good in the Dagger Cloud UI. I like how you can easily see the different pipelines there.
So if we do twice as many community calls, are we going to ship twice as fast?
So I need to start taking note of how many action items we get from each call, so it can just be a new stat we. But yeah, any other comments, Jeremy, Solomon, Kyle?
No, I love it. Oh,
Yeah, very cool.
My contribution is gonna be a picture of my kid's costume because we worked really hard on it. So I'm
Yes.
gonna show it off. I think someone was suggesting that earlier.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Do you share?
If I can do it, hold on. 1, 2, 3. Boom! There they are.
Oh,
Does anyone recognize the reference?
I mean, I know Darth Vader. I don't know.
No, the three robbers, the kids' book. No.
I know.
No. Yeah, I'll show a picture after the three robbers.
Perfect. Yeah, I was gonna say.
Look it up. Yeah.
Definitely gonna look it up. Only share it on Discord though, so then everyone who wants to know what it is, you can see.
How did the Three Robbers book get licensed for Darth Vader though? That's why I want to know.
Oh yeah, it's a crossover episode. Yeah.
Oh goodness. Well, thank you so much, everyone, for joining us for today. Really appreciate it. Thank you, Lev and Kyle, for your demos, and Solomon and Jeremy.
It was awesome.
For co-hosting and joining us today. And yeah, have a great and safe Halloween if you're just getting started. And we will see you next week. So just a reminder, we will have another call next week. Some awesome presentations. Yeah. So like we mentioned on earlier, we're moving the series up because we're going to be at CubeCon. So we didn't want to cancel it. We wanted to make sure all of you could get this content to say hi to everyone. And then with the holidays coming up, it was hitting those too. So we're going to start off strong, November really strong, with another call next week. So
nice.
See you then, everyone. Have a wonderful day. Bye.
Bye.